Well, I definitely was not expecting to have this deck together this soon. It's only base rare, but it's still together. So y'all remember Alter S, right? Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into Team Forbidden's YouTube page. It is I, Seto-sama the Fanatic, back at you with a new or semi-updated deck profile for Digimon. BT17 just hit. We just had sneak peeks this weekend, and we're trying out the new Omnimon Ace. So, this is a fully functioning deck. There's a couple of different ways to play it. I'm working out the ratios here and there, but for the most part, this is a deck that just straight up cheats. You remember Rapidmon? This is even more cheap than that. So you basically warp Digivolve from your 3s or your 4 into your 6s and either blast DNA on the opponent's turn or hard DNA on the end of your turn and do shenanigans. So anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the big first time that we've had a fully functioning regular Omnimon deck. Alright, so first off, we've got our Digi-Eggs. We're running the 4 Coromon from BT14. Reason for this is the new Gabumon also Digivolves from Red, and best red generic egg. What more can be said? So, let's get into our Agumons first. We're running 4 copies of the new Agumon from BT14. So, this little Agumon Digivolves from Coromon for 0, which means you can Digivolve from the black ones. So, just pointing that out there, because there is a black version of this deck that I've seen running around that somebody topped with in Japan. And it's kind of interesting. If you guys would like to see that, comment down below, let me know. But this new Agumon Digivolves from Coromon for 0. And, so it's start a main. If you have a tamer with Tai in its name, Takemiya, you can return 1 Garurumon, Greymon, or card with Omnimon in its name from your trash to your hand. This is good in the long game, and of course, inheritable is end of turn DNA. There is stuff that comes up with that. We'll get into that in a few moments. Then we also have the 4 Agumon from BT14. BT12, excuse me. What can be said? This is the best generic Agumon in the game. Search your top 4 for a Greymon or Omnimon, and then a tamer with Takemiya, which is all your tamers. So, yeah. 4 of the Gabumon from 14. Or 17, excuse me, for the Gabumon from 17. Digivolves from Sudomon for 0, doesn't matter. It's good. Digivolves from Red or Blue for 0, so you're going to be Digivolving off the Coromon for that. Its start of main phase, if you have a tamer with Madashida in his name, you draw 1. And inheritable, same as the Agumon, end of turn DNA. To round off our rookies, we're running 2 Drabu from BT1. Its effect, it's simple. On play, you draw 1 card. You can, if you want, run the EX4 Gabumon, the black one, so that way you can search your top 3 for an Omnimon, Greymon, or Garurumon, and then you place the rest back on top. You can run that. The only reason I'm running this one is our next card, and we'll get into that in just a few moments. That's it for our level 3s. Into our level 4s, we only run the 4 copies of Secret Rare White Greymon. I have been waiting for this card for a while. This card is... There's no beating around the bush. This card is nuts. So, the main reason that we're running this Gabumon over the EX4 one, which is arguably better, because the Wargraves and Metal Garurumons that warp Digivolve don't rely on color. The only reason for this one that I'm running this is because it's blue. So, reason being, this thing Digivolves from red, blue, green, or yellow any level 3 for 3. So yeah, no black, no purple, no white. It just digivolves from those colors. And that's it. Yeah, the alternate condition is it digivolves from any level 3 with Agumon in name for 2. And the only level 3 is important because of something else that we'll get to in a few moments. So first off, when digivolving, if this Digimon has Koromon, it gets plus 3000 DP this turn. Then, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with DP less than or equal to it. So, you're probably wondering why that Koromon thing is important. Well, that's because all turns this Digimon gains all of the names of the level 3 and lower cards in its Digivolution cards. So, oh yeah, and on deletion, you can play a Tamer card with Taikamiya or Karakamiya in its name, or hatch in your breeding area. So, yeah, and the inheritable is the exact same thing as the on deletion. So, we covered this thing. We're running the blue Gabumon because this thing can digivolve on top of it. So that's one thing to deal with. The thing to note is the amount of BS that you can do with this card. So, because this thing is treated as Koromon, you can digivolve this on top of it. So you can manually de-digivolve your own Agumon. You can put this Agumon on top of it. And then you could put another Greymon on top of that. It is just as crazy as it sounds. And then because its name is treated as all the Digimon that are under it, it's always treated, and that's all turns by the way, it's always treated as Gabumon and Agumon and Koromon in this case. So, for the Gabumon, you can put Metal Garurumon on top of this. For the Agumon, you can put War Greymon on top of it. It is such a versatile card, and it's super, super powerful. The amount of shenanigans that you can do just because of this secret rare. Greymon's my boy, and I love this card. Into level 5s, there are none. We don't need any in this deck. You could maybe run the BT17 Skull Greymon, but it's really not necessary. Because, to be honest, we have 10 6s. And yeah, that seems like a lot, but these things warp over our 3s, and as long as the Greymon has evolution sources under it, namely the level 3, it can always, you know, go on top of those as well. So, first off, we're going to do this a little differently. So we're running 4 copies of the new War Greymon and 4 copies of the new Metal Garurumon. Now, I'm supposed to explain what these do. So these are basically, they're akin to, for those who remember the Ultra S deck profile, these are akin to the Blitz Greymon and Crest Garurumon, where they basically help your Omni out. So you run 4 each of these because these are your main boys. So they can digivolve from any level 5 of their respective families for just 3. That includes the X's, for those that have the X's. But 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be digivolving into these guys normally. I repeat, normally. So basically what happens is, well, the first thing to note is when this thing would be hard played from the hand, because you actually do play these from your hand, and you think 11 cost is pretty hefty, but the play cost is reduced by 3 if you've got a Tamer with Madashita in the name for the Metal Garurumon, or Taikamiya for the War Greymon. And their effect is on play or when digivolving. So you activate one of the effects. So for the Metal Garurumon, you stun one of their Digimon or Tamers, and that Digimon can't suspend until the end of their turn. So you basically stop them from attacking. really good against Kabu and their shenanigans that they like to do. The other one is you can digivolve your Agumon into War Greymon, just straight up. So either this one or the other one that we run, which is the 2 of the 16, 2 of the 14, 2 of the 15. We're rocking the Kenji Watanabe arts this time around because you don't argue with Kenji. These things, for those who don't remember or haven't seen them before, these warp digivolve from Agumon and Gabumon respectively. If you have their respective tamer out, and your opponent has a Digimon with 10,000 DP or more. And then they do their shenanigans on top of that. These are not as much important as having the names, usually, but you can use the Metal Garurumon to digivolve into this War Greymon, or this one, or this War Greymon to digivolve into this Metal Garurumon, or this one, which is a broken bastard. So, the War Greymon, I would argue, is the weaker of the two here for some reason. Because it does the same thing where it lets your Gabumon warp digivolve into Metal Garurumon, but then for some reason, it only deletes an 8K or less. I don't know why they didn't just let you pop any Digimon with it if you're gonna do that. I mean, good God. Why 8K? Why that number? It doesn't just make this Gaia Force hard cost from that. You have to pay 11 or 8 to drop it anyway. So you might as well just be able to pop anything. Who's going to want to pay 11 to just pop something? That's like low, standard level ultimate. But the War Greymon has, as far as the inheritables go, these are mostly here for the names, and we'll get to that in a few moments. But the War Greymon, when you attack and the Digimon is Omnimon, you trash the top card of your opponent's security once per turn. Metal Garurumon, when you attack, if it's Omnimon, you unsuspend it. So you stay attacked and active. Which is good because, well, we'll get to that in a few moments. So, that few moments be right now. Alright, into the 7s, and we've got a whopping 8 of them here. Starting off with the new boy. We finally have a DNA digivolving Omnimon in the game. That is actually Omnimon, not one of the alternate forms. Oh boy. This is really, for me, this Omnimon feels a little more akin to the original Omnimon from BT1. But it's still really, really powerful, and if you're able to blast DNA into this, oh my god. So, this is the first time I believe we have had Blast Digivolving on this channel. So for all those who are not familiar with Ace mechanics, they are lower play cost than normal, but have an overflow cost if they ever leave the battle area to anywhere else. Be it in the breeding area, put in security, or being sent to the trash, bottom decked, yada, yada, yada. Alright, so the first thing to note is the DNA requirements for normal DNA digivolving into it. You can either digivolve from any blue or red level 6 for 5, any of them, but to DNA, which means you slap it down and slap 2 Digimon on top for free, like so. So you basically have the one and you stack the other one under it, or the other one on top of it, and then you drop this guy and draw a card. So the requirements for that are any level 6 Greymon and any level 6 Garurumon. However, for counter timing and blast DNA digivolution, you need the names specifically. So what you have to have is one of these guys on the field, or one of these guys on the field, and the other one in the other appropriate Digimon in your hand. So if you got the Metal Garurumon, you need to have the War Greymon in your hand, the Metal Garurumon, the War Greymon, the Metal Garurumon. Swip swap, you get it. So the first thing that this thing does is it's got raid and it's got blocker. So you got them big bodies that you want to worry about? Nope, not anymore. Go ahead. If you want to keep that thing suspended, you want to make it so you want to keep it suspended, or you want to keep it active so I can't attack it? No. That's the strongest thing on your field. I'm attacking right into that. And then it's also got blocker as well. So, although I don't know where a Medical Groomon is with blocker, but whatever. So, on player when digivolving, if you DNA digivolve, you choose one of your opponent's Digimon and return it to the bottom of the deck, and all of their Digimon with the same level as it. And then you delete one of their Digimon. Friggin' board clear. It's nuts. It's really nuts. So, yeah. So, that on top of, we have other ways of getting this and cheating this out, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the profile. This boy is not exactly what I expected, but it's still really good. Speaking of Ultra S, we do run 2 copies of him in here. Literally the only reason he's in here is he's the only other DNA Digivolving Omnimon in the deck. And you're unfortunately never going to be able to fully utilize his effect because you don't run Blitz and Cress. I really wish that they'd just said generic Greymon and Garurumons for this one, but they knew what they were doing. Yeah, you guys have seen Ultra S on the channel before. It's a DNA Omni, and it's nice to have this one because if it dies, it's just going to go to the bottom of your security and keep you hopefully alive a little bit longer. And it doesn't have the overflow problem that, you know, the Ace has. But yeah, it's Ultra S. It's the only other DNA Omni in the game at the moment currently. So, feels like we have to run it. I've seen some builds not to run other Omni variants. I've seen some run Omni X, which is really cool. But yeah, some don't even run the Ultra S. They just run the Ace, and the 7s in this deck are a little weird. We're also running 1 Merciful Mode and 1 Ultra B, the only non-white Omnimon. Merciful Mode, I'll be honest, you don't have to run these guys. Ultra B is basically a win more card. Merciful Mode is basically somewhat required for keeping certain decks in check. This is one of those, it's just super hilarious to just see it go off and just completely win you games. Even if you ace overflow with the Omnimon Ace, it like doesn't even matter because you're going to be trashing 3 of their security mid-swing. Because you're going to have the Omni, the Wargrey, and the Metal Guru. You're going to be trashing 3 security mid-swing, and you're going to be being made active if you've got the appropriate ones under there. Merciful Mode is one of those. It's super nice to have. You can put it over an Omni if you have to. And then at the start of your turn, after it shows up, and this deals with trash decks by putting 10 cards of the opponents at the bottom of the deck. So, yeah, you run 1 of each because the Agumon can get them back if you remember. Yeah, you can run more Ultra S's if you want. Maybe if you want, you can run Blitz Omni or Omni, either of the Omni X's, but that's basically it. And that's it for the Digimon. Yeah, there's a lot of them in here. Into the Tamers, we are running 4 copies of Ty and Matt from BT17. Oh boy. So the first thing to note is, all turns when one of your Digimon is played or Digivolves by suspending this Tamer. If you have a Digimon with Greymon on its name, gain a memory. If you have a Digimon with Garurumon on its name, gain a memory. And end of your turn, once per turn, one of your Digimon with Omnimon in its name may attack a player. Which is why the Omnimon has, the Omni Ace has Raid. So it can attack a player and then switch the attack target, still trashing the opponent's top security and doing absolute mayhem from there. Yeah, you run 4 of this guy because this card is broken, especially for the end of turn attack with Omnimon. Yeah, it's called DNA at the end of your turn, and then you get to just straight up attack with it. And if you're somehow able to keep your turn while DNA digivolving, like your opponent gave you like a stupid ton of memory, you can have this DNA into this or Ultra S, and then digivolve this on top of that for 2, and then it can just straight up attack. It's nuts. We run 1 copy of Matt and Ty. I want to find room for more, but I can't really justify it. Mostly because our only level 4 in the deck is Greymon. We're only going to be able to get Gabumon back from our trash at any given point in time. And unfortunately, this one doesn't have an on-play. I don't know why they weren't on-play or start of main. It would have made them a lot better. But this one still comes up and can help you keep turn by, let's say they choke you at 1 memory, and you go into Greymon for 2, and you have a Gabumon in trash. So you play the Gabu out, use the Matt and Ty to gain the memory back, and congratulations, you are now you're able to attack with said Greymon. So there are situations where it comes up, but ultimately, it feels like I want to try and find room for a second one, because there is a lot more Tamer hate in the game right now, but at the same time, again, it doesn't come up as much as I would like. We're also running 3 copies of Tai Kamiya and Kari Kamiya from this set. So this may seem a little weird, but this Tamer is actually pretty funny and pretty good, to be quite honest. So what this Tamer does, so it's all turns. When a Digimon is hatched in your breeding area, you suspend it and you draw 1. So this works in conjunction with a lot of different stuff. So let's say they take your Greymon out and you don't have a Tamer you want to play, and you have a couple of these out, which is probably not going to be a common occurrence, but it can happen. Greymon gets played, you hatch in your breeding area, and then you suspend this and you gain a memory. The effect that you're probably going to use the most, though, which is one of the reasons this card is actually pretty good, is end of your turn, by returning this Tamer to the bottom of the deck, draw 1. Then you may play 1 Tamer card with Tai Kamiya or Kari Kamiya in its name from your hand without paying the cost. This thing's a hand fixer. And it lets you play your 4-cost Tamers for free. This lets you play your 4-cost Tamers for free. It's nuts. And it's awesome. And I was originally running 4-4, but I felt like situations with the Matt and Ty could come up. Plus, it's nice to have your 2-colored Tamers out there, so that way you have the color requirement for your option card, which is the only option card in this deck that we're going to get to in a moment. 4 copies of Miraculous Mega Knight. To explain what this card does, it's, first off, red and blue, which means you need both red and blue in order to play it. So, Tamer or some combination of these guys on the board. So, what does this do? Well, main, you can play 1 Agumon or Gabumon from your hand or trash without paying the cost. Then place this card in the battle area, because it has a delay effect, which says when one of your level 6 Digimon with Greymon or Garurumon in its name would leave the battle area other than by battle, so DP reduction, trying to get bounced into security, etc. That Digimon and a card in the hand may DNA Digivolve into a Digimon card with Omnimon in its name. So yeah, they try to get rid of your Metal Garurumon or War Greymon, and this is active on the board. It's like, alright, so you don't want to attack me to counter so I can blast DNA? Cool, let me just do this instead. So it makes your opponent really question what plays they can make. You're constantly playing the mind games with the ace. It's kind of the same for Ragna Lordmon. I don't believe we've had that deck profile show up on the channel yet. If you guys would like to see that, let me know. It's the other level 7 ace that actually has a lot of really cool stuff that it can do. And I've been trying to get it to work for a while. But yeah, this option card, it makes it so, gives you a slight layer of protection. And your opponent is always going to be second guessing if you have the DNA in your hand in order to abuse it or not. Oh yeah, and the security effect is you can play a card with Tire Mat in its name from your hand or trash without paying the cost. And then you add it to your hand. So yeah, if it comes down to it, and this is somehow in your security, and this is either on your field or gets deleted or just gets trash, if you check it, you can just bring it back. And then it goes to your hand. So that way you can play your Agu and your Gabu. So yeah, that's it. There are some other ways that you can toy around and play with the deck. One of the things that I've seen, like I mentioned before, is somebody topped in Japan with a black base with the Koromon from the starter deck, using the entire Alter S line base with the black Agus and the black Gabus to, you know, get some more surge power. The other thing that I have seen people do is they run the black tie from the starter deck 15. That basically gives you an extra 2000 DP and card draw when an attack target is switched. And they use that with an option card called Laplas's Demon. Unfortunately, I don't have that because it's a really cheeky strategy to just force your opponent to attack and then blast Evo into them while they're attacking. But unfortunately, I don't have either of those. I'm trying to run it as pure as possible, basically. So, guys, that's the Omnimon Ace deck profile. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell down below for notifications. Let us know any other deck profiles you'd like to see from us, be it Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Digimon, etc. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Digital Gate closed.